Welcome. I'm the Reverend Barbara F. Myers. I'm the UU Mental Health Network Board President. Welcome to our yearly Mental Health Month service today. We are the Unitarian Universalist Mental Health Network. Our organization is committed to sharing lived experience, time, and resources as we live into our mission, which is to empower the beloved community in honoring everyone's unique mental health journey towards wellness. Once a year, during Mental Health Awareness Month, we provide a worship service, and that's what this is. And it's focused on the significant role of faith in mental health. So we'll begin with the chalice lighting. So every time we gather, we join Unitarian Universalists around the world in lighting our chalice, our symbol of safe spiritual sanctuary, the love we share for all souls, the light of the free and responsible search for truth and meaning in our world. For those of you joining us online, I invite you now to join me and light your own chalice.
Hello, my name is Sherry Thomas, and I'm a board member at large with the Unitarian Universalist Mental Health Network. And I'm going to give a brief introduction to spiritual practice as a coping mechanism. While many treatments, practices, and lifestyle changes can aid in recovery from mental health problems, studies have shown that one of the most important is spirituality. Spiritual practice is one of the primary coping mechanisms for people with such problems. Many people can find hope in the faith that they are being held by someone or something larger than themselves. This might be God, the human spirit, or the universe. This faith is at the core of many addiction recovery programs, including 12-step programs. It can allow them to surrender to an entity that receives them unconditionally, to know that they do not suffer alone, and to hope that things can get better. People need spiritual community, not just because they are lonely. They need it to be included in a congregation's spiritual development opportunities, both formal and informal. For instance, both the sermon and the conversations about it in the coffee hour that follows.
Hello, my name is Skylar Malin. My pronouns are they and them, and I am the UUMHN Board Secretary. Today's story for all ages is a toolbox for hard times. This is my toolbox. Toolboxes are used to keep your tools together in one place and to carry them to where you want to use them. Sometimes when something breaks and I need to fix it, I'm not sure exactly what tool I need, so I look in my toolbox to see what might work. I also have a toolbox for spiritual and emotional tools or ideas that can help me cope with hard times. In it, I keep reminders of coping skills, ideas for ways to improve my mental health, and self-care items. I planned ahead to prepare for difficult times by listing things that work for me. You could create a hard times toolbox too. When we're going through a hard time, like when we have a broken heart, or we're scared, or angry, or overwhelmed, or grieving, we can think about what tools we have or what practices we have that might help us take care of ourselves in that hard time. Some of the spiritual or emotional tools we could have in our hard times toolbox are exercising, talking with somebody we love and trust, going outdoors, practicing breath work, taking a cold shower, meditating or praying, singing or listening to our favorite music, taking time to be alone or seeking out company, writing or journaling, reading a fantasy or fiction book, doing a ritual of some sort, volunteering to focus energy outward, or doing something kind for someone else. I just named many tools. You may think of more that work for you. We have options, diverse ways to care for ourselves when things are hard. One reason it's helpful to think of all the tools in our hard times toolbox is that sometimes we might try one and it doesn't work. If that happens, we may think, oh no, nothing will help me get through this. But when we remember that it was just one of our many tools, we can try something else in our toolbox. Sometimes when things are tough, it's possible that none of the tools or practices in our toolbox feel like enough. It's like trying to cut down a huge tree with a small saw when you need a chainsaw. In this case, we need to ask for help from someone else, like a minister, a doctor, a therapist, a support group, or a helpline like the new mental health support line 988. Someone else can remind us of the tools we have, help us get new ones, and share theirs with us to try out. The point of a toolbox is not that you have every single tool or practice you will ever need, but that you have a starting point for trying. The more we practice using our tools and asking for help from other people, the better we get at caring for ourselves and each other when times are hard. We might not have all that we need alone, but together we can find a tool that will help. If you would like help creating a hard times toolbox for yourself, you might consider creating a Wellness Recovery Action Plan, or WRAP plan, that can help you identify tools that help you be well. I found the class and self-help resources to be very helpful. Or you could just create a list or draw a picture like these. I hope these ideas are useful to you.
This song was inspired by my oldest daughter. Just as you are without changing a thing, just as you are, I accept you. I see you, I hear you, I welcome you in, just as you are, just as you are, just as you are without changing a thing, just as you are, I accept you. I see you, I hear you, I welcome you in, just as you are, just as you are, just as you are without changing a thing, just as you are, I accept you. I see you, I hear you, I welcome you in, just as you are, just as you are. Just as you are without changing a thing, just as you are, I accept. Just as you are, I see you, I hear you, I welcome you in, just as you are, just as you are, just as you are without changing a thing, just as you are, I accept. Just as you are, I see you, I hear you, I welcome you in, just as you are, just as you are. One more time. Just as you are without changing a thing, just as you are, I accept. Just as you are, I see you, I hear you, I welcome you in, just as you are, just as you are.
name is Tisha Nesbitt. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm a member of the UU Mental Health Network Board. Reverend Phoenix Bell Shelton Biggs served as an intern minister at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Fredericksburg, Virginia, where they actively engaged in ministerial duties and community care, contributing to the spiritual growth and well-being of the congregation. They have served on the board of directors for the UU Mental Health Board Network, the board of the UU Young Adult Revival Network, also known as UU Yarn, and as a young adult worship leader and chaplain with UU Yarn. Currently, Reverend Phoenix is completing their residency in spiritual health at Emory University Hospital in Atlanta, Georgia, and they are preparing to move to serve the Unitarian Universalists of the Cumberland Valley come June 1st. Reverend Phoenix believes that mental health is a sacred and collective journey, one that requires both personal and communal commitment to healing. Their ministry centers on disrupting systems of oppression and building spaces of radical belonging, where before there was harm, there was a miracle. Reverend Phoenix?
Thank you. It is so great to be with you all. Now, I don't know about you, but I've been there. I've lived it. The stigma, the pain, the lowest lows, the feelings of being broken beyond belief and hiding it all away from the world. Gotta be strong. Can't let them see the real and holding the lovely and needy me. Does that sound familiar? Such a feeling that it's hard to let go, to believe that you will be okay, that you are loved and whole and worthy. And I've got to wonder, and I invite you to wonder as well. What if our brokenness is not a flaw, but a part of our sacred wholeness? What if the broken pieces find new meaning and cracks are where the light gets in? What if we believed that we each had something to offer and to give? That we knew that we could rise up, lift our very eyes up, that healing the world begins through our sacred scars named in love. If you remember nothing else I say, beloveds, remember this. You are whole. You are loved. You are worthy just as you are. There is no need to try to disappear. You can come exactly as you are. Now, when I was growing up as a kid in East Tennessee, I learned fairly quickly how to make myself small, to disappear, to fade into the cracks. In church, I was taught that who I was, queer, questioning, sometimes too soft, more often too bold, was dangerous. I remember sitting in the pews, trying to sing praise while silently praying that God would change me into something holier, someone straighter, someone easier to love. I didn't know the language for mental health back then. I just knew that I was exhausted all of the time, carrying the weight of the world, trying to be someone I wasn't. I would lie awake at night, bargaining with God. I didn't want to die, but I didn't know how to live with that much shame pressing down on my chest. I didn't even know that it was shame. For my faith never talked about shame in that way. I didn't know what it was then. I was experiencing. I didn't know that it was grief and fear and isolation and trauma all wrapped up in spiritual violence. I didn't know what anxiety and depression were and how they could be a response to the world that refused to see me as sacred. And yet, even then, something in me was reaching toward life. I started writing poetry in secret. Can't let them see my weakness. So the pages of my journal became my companion, singing to myself in the woods, touching the trees and whispering, am I still loved? Am I enough? Am I going to be okay? Will I be okay? Sometimes there was no response. Often there was no response. But sometimes someone or something seemed to whisper back. Maybe it was God. Maybe it was the wind. Maybe it was the conscience in my own mind. But something that I now can only choose to name as God for myself kept whispering back, yes, even now, especially now, right now, yes. In time, I stopped trying to disappear, and that's when the journey towards sacred wholeness began. Not a neat path, but a wild, sprawling, holy mess of a life. A life that I'm still learning to love. A life that says you were never too broken to begin with. Adrienne Marine Brown reminds us that we are living in the aftermath. Living in the aftermath of being told that our bodies are only valuable when they are producing. We are living in the aftermath, says A.G. Marine Brown, when our bodies are told they are only valuable when producing. And we know this to be true when we are faced with the myth of perfectionism and profit-based models of our well-being, models that don't really serve our interest or our needs, but that we are tricked into believing do. And we know that our humanist teachings counsel us to heed the guidance of reason and science and warn against idolatries of mind and spirit. These idolatries include that of productivity. And scripture echoes this in saying that we are fearfully and wonderfully made, not because of our output, but because of our being. There is this supposed societal belief that healing means returning to normal. Yet for me, and I'd go as far to assume for many of you as well, that a return to normalcy is the greatest and most harmful myth of them all. For to embrace and believe in a return to normalcy is to say that living with mental health challenges is not normal. It is to say that our brokenness is a flaw and that wholeness only comes with being normal. Now, my mother used to always say that normal was only a setting on the dryer, and I often didn't understand what that meant. But, maybe she was right all those times she said that, because really, what is normal? I know that for me, wholeness is not perfection. My wholeness and the way I find wholeness and the way you find wholeness may not be perceived as normal. because it's not. We all find it in our own ways. What I know for myself to be true is wholeness is not perfection. Wholeness is not flawlessness. And it is definitely not normal. Wholeness is the courageous act of embracing our full and sacred self exactly as we are, knowing that exactly who we are will change every minute of every day, and that will be a different person depending on the seasons of our life and what is going on within them. The idea of normal is a tool of conformity. It is defined by dominant systems. Capitalism would say that being normal is being productive, being fast, being efficient, doing all of the things, not taking our vacation leave, not saying I'm not okay, and being burnout proof. It would be to continue going and going and going as a profit machine. White supremacy would tell us that normal is to be white and able-bodied, cisgender and straight, to not be perceived as different. And ableism would say that being normal would mean that we have independence, emotional control, and the invisibility of any level of need. But normal, in this sense, isn't holy. It's not holy as it's constructed in this sense to exclude. And the gospel of love doesn't call us to be normal. It calls us to be real, really, really real. So let's be real. Normal? It's not that normal after all. Let's be real when we name that our Unitarian Universalist faith doesn't call us to be normal. It doesn't call us to conform. It calls us to affirm the sacredness of every person, which means every mind, every body, every way of being, including and especially those that fall outside of the norm. We are not called to fit in. It's not what our faith asks of us. Instead, it says that we are called to create belonging, belonging for all people. It is to say that the interdependent web is not built on sameness, but on diverse, imperfect, beautifully interconnected souls. It is to believe that we are not a problem to be solved, but a wonder to be held. Jesus never once said, "Now be normal." He healed on the Sabbath against the rules. He touched the lepers against the rules. He welcomed the outcast against the rules, the unclean against the rules, the too much and the not enough. Scripture affirms that we are to be transformed in this life. There is miracle. The miracle was never being normal. It was being beloved as we are. Normalcy is the code of compliancy in systems of oppression. Liberation reminds us that we do not need to be normal. What we need to be is free of that which breaks our spirits, that tells us that something is wrong with us. Wholeness isn't about meeting societal standards. It's about reclaiming our divine, messy, powerful, beautiful selves. It's about being authentic to who we are It's about knowing that we don't need to be perfect to be whole, that we don't need to be flawless to be sacred, that we don't need to be normal to be beloved, and that in fact, nobody is normal. And if they say they are, maybe they are the ones with mental health challenges that they cannot name. For normal isn't real. And we are already whole simply because we are. Adrian Brown would also remind us that before there was any harm, there was miracle. And beloveds, I believe that that miracle is each of you and me and all who breathe their first and last breath on earth and every breath they breathe in between that. So, beloveds, I hope that you can see yourself as whole in the unraveling of your life, in the reconnecting of the pieces, in the challenge, in the mess, in the communal, in the sacred, in the moments that you need isolation. May we know that we are not too much, that we are loved and whole, and that we belong. May we know that we are beloved. And in the words of the Reverend Nadia Bowes-Weber, if you cannot believe that for yourself right now, let me believe it for you. For I do not know when I am going to need you to believe it for me when I cannot. So, beloveds, may you be held in love. May you know that you are loved. May you know that you are beloved, and may no one crush your spirit. May we build a world where normalcy really is just that sitting on the dryer, and everything else is the blessing of our lives. Ashe, amen. Now let's go make it so.
Hi, I'm Barbara Myers. I'm going to be talking about the UU Mental Health Network. This is what our website looks like, uumentalhealth.org, where you can find out more information. So I'll be telling you about who we are, mission, vision, how you can get involved, what kind of projects we're working on, and so forth. In 2018, there were several Unitarian Universalists who were interested in mental health started meeting, and jointly we decided that the time was right to form a UU Mental Health Network to work collectively on mental health challenges that affect our congregations and society at large. Today we have a board of 7 people, of which I am the president, 4 officers, and 3 at-large members. Our mission is to empower the beloved community in honoring everyone's unique mental health journey towards wellness. We envision a world where everyone, all the members in the beloved community feel welcomed, understood, and held in love, engage in respectful curiosity to understand emotional distress, welcome open, authentic, and fearless sharing about mental health, and passionately commit to mental health justice. We've decided to focus our efforts in 4 areas: education, worship, support groups, and social justice. So I'll talk about each of those briefly. In the area of education, we offer quarterly Becoming a Companion workshops where people can learn how to be helpful companions to those who have mental health struggles. We will offer a Mental Health 101 training that's developed by one of our board members who's a therapist. We'll have a quarterly online book club and resources on our website, which are pretty voluminous at this point. We also have published 2 books, Held, which is published by Skinner House Books, and Emotional CPR, which is published by the National Empowerment Center. In the area of worship, we provide an online worship service for Mental Health Awareness Month in May. We provide worship resources on the UUA's worship web, and we will add to those as time goes on. And we have a repository of mental health sermons that can be accessed from our website. In the area of support groups, there is a grief support group that's led by a therapist, and we have plans to add additional support groups for marginalized populations. In the area of social justice work, there is so much to do, and we plan to be effective advocates for mental health services, and we have been collaborating with the Worthy Now effort of the Church of the Larger Fellowship to help incarcerated people with mental health challenges. Much more can be done in the area of social justice, of course. We have ongoing needs that the board needs assistance with to help address. I need more work to increase mental health awareness and reduce stigma. We need more work on making the UU Mental Health Network more well known by marketing, publicity, soliciting volunteer involvement in all of these activities. The UU Mental Health Network is largely funded by private donations. Your donations can enable us to continue to provide these services, so please donate generously. Your donations today will support our work. Our board cannot do all of these things alone, as I've said, so we need help from committed and motivated people. You can help us by joining the UU Mental Health Network at uumentalhealth.org/join. There you can tell us which of these areas, 4 areas that you'd like to work on, and which project that you'd like to work on. If you'd like to reach out to us, our email is uumentalhealth.org. So thank you for your interest and support of our organization.
Beloveds, beloveds, beloveds. How could anyone ever tell you that you are less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle and how deeply you're connected to my soul? Beloveds, I believe we all know that these next 4 years, we're going to need each other. We're not just going to need to say that we know we have each other. We're going to need each other. So take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Pick up a phone and call a friend when you need something, when you don't need something. Ask them if they need something. For we're all gonna need someone to lean on at some point in our life. I know I do. And I know who to call. I know what my RAP plan says. I know my resources and what can ground me and sustain me and keep me whole. So if you know what those are for you, use them. And if you don't, find them. Have somebody help you find them. Because you're gonna need it. We're all going to. Beloveds, be well, be held in love, and know that you are never, ever alone. That help is always just a phone call away. And that this faith, broken and messy and beautiful and complicated as it is doing its best to hold every single one of us in love.
We extinguish our chalices with words by Craig Rowland. In each breath we take, may we remember that the work of love, justice, and healing is ours to continue, both here and beyond these walls.
I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. I've got tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops in my soul. I've got tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops in my soul. I've got strength like the mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. Thank you, everyone.